The American people know we have to fix Social Security. They know we can't grow our way to a solution. They know we're going to have to make some tough decisions.
At a recent campaign event, Joe Biden claimed that the Bernie Sanders campaign doctored a video of him supporting cuts to Social Security. Now, I'm not only going to break down this lie, but I'm also going to show you Joe Biden's history of supporting cuts to Social Security. But first, let me get to the clip from this campaign event that Biden spoke at.
There's been, I've had phone calls, people asking me, what do you take about? Does it concern you? What do you take about Joe's stance about what's going to happen to Social Security? So I'm going to ask you, what is your stance on Social Security?
Well, my stance on Social Security is, let's get the record straight. I'm not going to blame anybody, but, well, let me just say the facts. There's a little doctored video going around saying that, put out by one of Bernie's people. No, I'm serious. And I don't know if my staff has that video here, but saying that I agreed with Paul Ryan, the former vice presidential candidate, about wanting to privatize Social Security. It is, and PolitiFact looked at it, and they doctored the photo. They doctored the piece, and it's acknowledged that it's a fake. And so what we're doing is we're putting out what the actual exchange between Paul Ryan and I were. And I have been a gigantic supporter of Social Security from the beginning.
All right. I'm going to correct this in reverse order. So I'm going to get to Biden's claim about PolitiFact, which is also untrue. PolitiFact's assessment of Joe Biden is untrue. I have a breakdown of that I did a couple weeks ago. I'll go into that. But first, let's look at the big claim here. Joe Biden says, quote, I have been a gigantic supporter of Social Security from the beginning. This is just straight up false. Joe Biden's either lying or he completely forgot his 40-year record on this issue. So first, the Washington Post just straight up says here, Sanders is right. Biden is vulnerable to Trump on Social Security. Oh, but that's an opinion piece, right? Well, I guess we have to look at the actual clips where Joe Biden is speaking on this on the record. Here are 5 different times that Joe Biden is advocating on camera to cut Social Security.
When I argued that we should freeze federal spending, I meant Social Security as well. I meant Medicare and Medicaid. I meant veterans benefits. I meant every single solitary thing in the government. And I not only tried it once, I tried it twice, I tried it the third time, and I tried it the fourth time. I introduced the balanced budget amendment in 1984. It got nowhere. I'm one of those Democrats who voted for the constitutional amendment to balance the budget. I have introduced on 4 occasions, entire plans to balance the budget, knowing I'm not president and I'm not the leader, but for illustrative purposes. I tried with Senator Grassley back in the 80s to freeze all government spending, including Social Security, including everything.
Ladies and gentlemen, the American people know we have to fix Social Security. They know we can't grow our way to a solution. They know we're going to have to make some tough decisions. They're ready to make these decisions. They're ready to step up. We have to be ready to straightforwardly tell them what we're about to do.
We have a deficit. We have Social Security and Medicare looming. The number of people on Social Security and Medicare is now 40 million people. It's going to be 80 million in 15 years. Would you consider looking at those programs, age of eligibility, absolutely, cost of living, put it all on the table?
The answer is absolutely. You have to. I mean, it's one of the things that my, the political advisors say to me is, whoa, don't touch that third. Look, the American people aren't stupid. It's a real simple proposition. We have to do, you and I were talking about Bob Dole earlier. I was one of 5 people, I was the junior guy, in the meeting with Bob Dole, George Mitchell, when we put Social Security in the right path for 60 years. I'll never forget what Bob Dole said. After we reached an agreement about gradually raising the retirement age, etc., he said, look, here's the deal. We all put our foot in the boat one at a time. And he stepped like he was stepping into a boat. And we all make the following deal. If any one of the challengers running against incumbent Democrat or Republicans attacks us on this point, we'll all stay together. That's the kind of leadership that is needed. Social Security is not the hard one to solve. Medicare, that is the gorilla in the room. And you've got to put all of it on the table.
Everything.
Everything. You've got to.
Paul Ryan was correct. When he did the tax code, what's the first thing he decided we had to go after? Social Security and Medicare. Now, we need to do something about Social Security and Medicare. That's the only way you can find room to pay for it. And it raises enough revenue to make sure that the Social Security and Medicare can stay. It still needs adjustments, but can stay.
All right. I mean, that montage speaks for itself. And that last clip where Biden's referencing Paul Ryan, that's part of the PolitiFact aspect of this that I'll get to again in a minute here. But look, this is just what's on video. So in addition to that, as The Intercept reports, fact check, Joe Biden has advocated cutting Social Security for 40 years. Biden's fixation on cutting Social Security dates back to the Reagan era. One of Ronald Reagan's first major moves as president was to implement a mammoth tax cut tilted toward the wealthy and to increase defense spending. Biden, a Delaware senator at the time, supported both moves. The heightened spending and reduced revenue focused public attention on the debt and deficit, giving fuel to a push for a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution. In the midst of that debate, Biden teamed up with Iowa Republican Senator Chuck Grassley to call for a freeze on federal spending, and insisted on including Social Security in that freeze, even as the Reagan administration fought to protect the program from cuts. It was part of the Democratic approach at the time not to just match Republicans, but to get to their right at times as well. So this has always been Joe Biden. Now you may say, oh, but that was years and years and years ago. That's not the Joe Biden of today. But do you remember the grand bargain? As vice president, Biden was involved in multiple administration attempts to cut Social Security as part of a grand bargain with Republicans, all of them blocked by Tea Party Republicans, who couldn't agree to any tax increases. In 2014, Senator Rand Paul said at a conservative event that Biden had privately told him he was supporting of raising the retirement age and means testing Social Security benefits. Quote, I asked the vice president, don't we have to raise the age? Wouldn't means testing and raising the age solve the problem? Paul recounted, with Senator Ted Cruz and Mike Lee on stage, adding that Biden said, quote, yes, in private, but will not say it in public. Paul hadn't been paying close enough attention. So obviously pointed to the fact that Biden has said it again and again and again in public that he is open to cutting, freezing, or adjusting Social Security. Now, just for reference, here's what Bernie Sanders was doing at the time while Vice President Joe Biden was trying to cut Social Security.
Now, some of you may remember that when Barack Obama was running for president in 2008, he said that he would not cut Social Security. We want the president to remember what he said and not go back on his word. We are not going to balance the budget on the backs of the elderly, disabled vets, the sick, the women, or the children. When 1 out of 4 major profitable corporations pays nothing in federal income taxes, we know how we can deal with deficit reduction in a way that is fair. So what we want from the White House tells us that they want to defend the middle class. That's their mantra. Well, if you want to defend the middle class, you don't cut Social Security, and you don't cut Medicare, and you don't cut benefits for disabled vets. So our job in the coming weeks and months, and what today is about is the beginning of that job, is to rally tens of millions of people who understand that in this country, the middle class, working families are hurting, and we're not going to balance the budget on their backs. Our job is to rally those people and give anybody in the Congress who believes in cutting these life-important benefits, we're going to give them a political choice they can't refuse. and that is if they vote to cut Social Security, they may well not be returning to Washington. Thank you all very much.
All right. So while Vice President Joe Biden was trying to cut Social Security, Bernie Sanders was leading the effort against those cuts. Now, as I was saying, Biden claims that Bernie Sanders doctored a video of him claiming that Biden supports cuts to Social Security. I showed you the clip that he's referencing where he's talking about Paul Ryan. Nowhere in even PolitiFact's assessment that Biden references, nowhere in that PolitiFact assessment do they say that Bernie Sanders or his campaign doctored a video of Joe Biden. That claim is never made in PolitiFact's assessment that Biden's referencing. So I have no idea what the hell he's talking about. But Politico also called out Biden's false claim here, saying Joe Biden accused Bernie Sanders' campaign Saturday of issuing a doctored video to attack him over Social Security, a false claim that ratcheted up the tension between the two campaigns in the run-up to the Iowa caucuses. So there is no doctored video, so you can throw that piece out completely. Now, on the PolitiFact claim that Biden references here, I actually broke this down a week before this story, where Biden's at this event, before this story even blew up. So let me show you my claim, or my assessment of this PolitiFact claim back from January 10th. So it appears that PolitiFact got something wrong, and this was broken down by Ryan Grim at The Intercept. First, let me show you exactly what the PolitiFact is. So here, PolitiFact quotes Bernie Sanders saying, in 2018, Biden lauded Paul Ryan for proposing cuts to Social Security and Medicare. And PolitiFact is saying that is false. But Ryan Grim breaks down how, in fact, no, it's not false. It is completely true, and that PolitiFact should actually correct it. So the Ryan Grim thread starts here saying, this fact check of Bernie Sanders' newsletter on Biden and Social Security is just flat out wrong in multiple ways, and I'll explain how. He goes on to say, PolitiFact says Biden was being sarcastic about mocking Paul Ryan when he agreed that you have to cut Social Security to balance the budget. But that whisper thing Biden does is an old move. He does it when he's speaking forbidden, politically incorrect truths to the left. Go watch Biden's speeches. You'll find that whisper move is consistent. Means he's attacking the left. But okay, say you don't believe me. It's wrong on a second count here. PolitiFact bolded the wrong words. The right ones are highlighted. Quote, it still needs adjustment. Adjustment in Washington is a euphemism for cuts. That's just a basic fact of congressional lingo that can't be disputed. But I don't blame PolitiFact for not being familiar with it. Now that they are, this should be corrected. This part, though, there's no excuse for. They used as their neutral arbiter a guy from an organization founded for the purpose of cutting Social Security in order to cut the deficit. Background on them here. Also, this last part is just a minor correction, but it's not true that Sanders said this. It was in a newsletter that actually says the views are those of the author solely. The context is also important. Biden has been in favor of cutting, freezing, adjusting, whatever you want to call it, since the 1980s. So, Joe Biden's record on this is clear. It was clear from the clips. It's clear from his 40-year record that doesn't involve just the clips. It's clear from him lying here about this PolitiFact claim, saying that that Bernie Sanders doctored a video when that wasn't even in PolitiFact's claim. I mean, so look, whether Joe Biden is lying or losing his mind, it's kind of not as relevant as whether you can actually trust Biden on this issue. And clearly, you can't.